Steven Spielberg. That name gets any film goer hard. He has made some of the best movies ever made. From Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and many more. And he has made some of my favourite movies, and he is my all-time favourite director. I love him, I watch his movies all the time. And to celebrate the release of the Fabelmans next week in the UK, I thought, why not review my favourite film by him? Now, of course, there are plenty to choose from, and I'm not the kind of guy that goes for the cliche responses like Jaws or Raiders or E.T. No, this movie's special. I love this movie to bits. It's part of the Indiana Jones trilogy, and it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, it's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. No, I'm joking. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Released in 1989, starring Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, Indiana Jones returns for what was at the time the final Indiana Jones film, and he goes looking for the Holy Grail itself before the Nazis can get to it, so Hitler can become more powerful. Now, I, as of many of you are, I'm guessing, I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones. I can't wait for Dial of Destiny later this year. I'm praying to God that it's good. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of this franchise. I hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I love Raiders. Temple of Doom is my least favourite of the original trilogy, but I still really like it. But Last Crusade is just something on another level to me. This is easily one of the funniest movies ever made, in my opinion. I laugh my butt off every time I watch this movie, even when it's intentional, and even when it's unintentional. But you can't deny that this movie is just great. First of all, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I don't really think I need to say anything else. He kills it in this role. He is Indiana Jones. And I've always said if there's another Indiana Jones movie after the new one this year, and it's not with Harrison Ford, I'm not going to see it. Because Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. He brings so much charisma to this role. And you can just tell he always puts 110% in it. And with this film, we get introduced to Sean Connery, who plays Indy's dad. And again, he is fantastic. I love Sean Connery. He's great as James Bond. And he's amazing in this film. His comedic timing and his chemistry with Harrison Ford is just up there on another level. I love him in this film. He puts 110% in this film as well. You can just show he's dedicated to it. Now, one thing that I will say isn't as good as Raiders is the Holy Grail. Now, the Lost Ark in the first Indiana Jones film, so interesting. You know, the backstory behind it is great. With this one, it's not as good as the Lost Ark. It's better than the Stones in Temple of Doom, which I'd never found that interesting. And it's levels above that piece of crap Crystal Skull. But I just don't think it's as interesting. But overall, it's still a pretty interesting artifact. You know, back in the days when Jesus was alive, it was made then. That's some pretty cool stuff. And you know, there's all these trials and there's this ghost knight that has to protect it at the end. It's got some really cool ideas there. But I don't know, the Raiders one is just... It's just cooler. You know, ghosts coming out of it, you know, melting people's heads. I don't know, I just prefer that stuff more. But that doesn't take away from how good this film is. And not just because of the humour and the acting, but also because of the action. I've always said Indiana Jones has some of the best action scenes in modern cinema. And the tank chase right around the middle is one of my favourite action scenes ever put to screen. There's tension all around. You know, Indy's hanging off the side of a tank and he's about to get crushed by a rock wall. Man, there's tension all around. And then Indy's dad is trapped inside the tank with his friend. Just everything is going wrong. But he pulls through, and at the end, you think he's died. You think he's actually dead. And you know, I can remember when I first watched this film, I was like, really? He's dead? So what happens now? But no, it was a fake out death, and the reactions after where he's like, what's going off? It's just so funny. But I like how some of the side characters from Raiders of the Lost Ark get a bit more character in this and a lot more to do. You know, Denholm Elliott as Marcus Brody from Raiders. He gets a lot more to do in this film, and he probably gets the funniest part of the movie. Indiana Jones says, oh, you know, he's probably all the way at the Holy Grail by now. And then we just cut back and he's like, excuse me, where am I? It's just hilarious. I love that juxtaposed humour there. But of course, we also got to have a villain, and we get Walter Donovan in this film. And I'll be honest, this is a twist villain halfway through the movie, and it's a good twist. You don't see it coming. It's hinted at so many times before the twist happens, and it should be really obvious, but the movie is so subtle about it, and when it shows up, you know, it makes sense, and it's also shocking at the same time. He's a great villain. His motivation is, of course, getting the Holy Grail, make sure it's given to Hitler so he could become more powerful. It's a basic motivation, but, you know, with these sort of Indiana Jones films set in World War II where they're fighting against the Nazis, you can look past it, really. We also get introduced to a new woman in this film called Elsa, and she is great in this as well. It's a great twist villain. You don't see it coming. And the thing is, it should be pretty obvious, but no, you never see it coming. And I really like those sort of twist villains. Steven Spielberg knows how to do twist villains. There is just so much fun to be had in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love it so much. It's humorous, the action's just all thrilling, the characters are really interesting, really likeable, great comedic timings, some great twist villains in there as well, a great artifact, albeit not as good as the Raiders of the Lost Ark artifact. But overall, it's just a great, entertaining movie. And if this was the final Indiana Jones movie, I would have been very satisfied. So overall, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is easy going to get. Spot on. A 10 out of 10. I love this movie so much. One of my all-time favourite movies. My favourite Steven Spielberg movie. Will the Fabelmans surpass that? We shall see next week. But guys, that is it for the end of this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, or Steven Spielberg movies as a whole. I love to hear your thoughts. Next time we are reviewing the Fabelmans. I honestly can't wait for it. I'm so excited. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Have a good day, and see you later.